Thanks for clicking on the video. If this is your first visit to the channel, or you've been following the channel and you're a regular subscriber, you're watching Committed to Carp, Bedtime Stories, Turners. Hi, my name's Lee, and after spending my first 24 hours on Norton Disney carp fishery, Turners Lake, I woke up this morning to an absolutely freezing cold start. It's been down to 0 degrees last night, so a very chilly morning. Now, the cold weather in winter does make catching carp extremely difficult because there's so many factors you have to take into consideration, like the quantity of food that they eat, and the cold weather really does affect the carp. But that won't stop me from getting my rods out at any time through the winter because I am committed to carp. Now, I know you're going to ask, what peg am I in? Well, I'm in peg 8 and I've got all 3 rods at the same distance covering a similar area, but we'll come back to that later in the video. Now that's the intro out the way, let's take a look at what I've got in my net. First Turner's carp, and it looks like a good one. Let's get it out and get it weighed. Happy days. If you weren't convinced that winter can be rewarding, here's the proof. My first Turner's Lake carp, and I'm really happy to have caught it, proving effort equals reward. Off to a good start. Whew. Come on, you chunky monkey. After the first night on Turners and waking up in the freezing cold this morning, middle rod's gone off, 27 pound, 2 ounce. Ooh, be a good girl, be a good girl. First Turner's carp out to Norton Disney again. Let's take a quick look at the other side. Real result, £27.2. I think I said that already though, but that's because I'm really chuffed. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Carp care is really important. Before returning the carp, treat its mouth, wounds, sores and ulcers, and make sure the carp's returned in the most healthiest condition. The rig I'm using is a semi-stiff hinged choddy, the same rig I caught the carp on last week. I'm just tying on a fresh hook bait. The hook bait is a Northern Special white popper. Now, I am using a spawn mix on this session. It is just a can of corn, a few low oil, low protein pellets, and some crushed DNA bug boilies with a little bit of smart liquid over the top, the Sal smart liquid. And I put about 4 spawns out just to start the session off with, and that's the reward, £27.2. I've got some bait out there using the spawn, but I would like some additional attraction around that hook bait, so I'm going to make up a PVA mesh stick mix. When it comes to stick mixes, there's lots of things you can use. I'm using Mainline Essential Sal, a stick and bag mix, 2ml Dynamite low oil pellets, and some Sal Smart liquid. I'm also adding just a small handful of 4ml low oil pellets. Using the Sal Smart liquid in winter, before you use it, this is what I recommend you do with it. Quickly pop the kettle on and bring it to boil. Using a cup, fill it half full with the hot water or half empty, depending on what kind of person you are. Leave it for a few minutes and give it a shake and you're ready to go. Now we've got the stick mix made up, we put it inside the long chuck funnel web PVA mesh. I'm only using the stick mixes on the left rod because I swapped that over to a Ronnie rig on a pop-up. This little PVA stick doesn't look like much, but once it's dissolved on the lake bed, this small parcel of bait offers enough attraction to get the carp's attention and draw the carp in towards your hook bait. Carp fishing, carp angling. Through the winter, can be really difficult. But I've always believed that there's three things that you really need to get right. The first thing is location. Location is absolutely crucial to you catching carp. Once you've got the location right, you're in with a very good chance. The second thing I believe is absolutely crucial is getting the right rig on the right spot. Now, there's so many rigs to choose from. Try to keep it as simple as you can. Now, if you're fishing on gravel, you just want a very simple bottom bait. If you're fishing in the silt, a nice little pop-up or a wafter will always keep you in good stead, and that'll present itself very tidily in the silt. And if you're fishing in deep silt or low-lying weed, a helicopter setup on a long hook link with a pop-up can get you a lot of bites in that silt and the low-lying weed. Or you can put a zig out if the carp are in the mid to upper layers. But even once you've got the right rig and you think you're in with a good chance, if the carp are just not hungry, even if you can see them, you might not be able to buy a bite for love or money, because that's carp fishing, carp angling. Now, those three things I've just talked about there, location, getting the rigs right, and all the carp feeding, I've covered in all of my previous videos and sessions. If you want to go check them out, take a quick look. You might enjoy some of them. Some of you may not be interested at all, but this is what I'm having for tea. It does have a point to it. I've got a lovely sirloin steak, some fresh mushrooms, tin potatoes, carrots, and some Bisto gravy. Yum yum. The point of it all is, when you're out on the bank carp fishing, carp angling in winter, you want a lovely meal to keep you warm. This makes you happy and you fish a lot better. And once you've had your nice hot meal, you want a lovely dessert and maybe a couple of chocolate bars. And then when you're sitting in there later, you'll have a really full belly. You'll be all happy and warm. And then when the rod goes off, you won't mind going out in the cold so much. Quick shout out to Sean on the Norton Disney complex at the moment, looking for a can opener. Could have borrowed mine. When it's winter, a warm meal, oh my god, it makes you feel so good. And don't worry, truffle's got ears. Now, when it comes to recasting the rods in the night or after a run, I always find it's a good idea pick a couple of trees on the skyline, and you can use them as your markers. I'm using those three trees there. So as long as I'm aiming the rods in the direction of those three trees, and I'm wrapping each rod up at 16.5 wraps and hitting the clip each time, I know that the rigs are landing in exactly the right spot. Let's just say that when I went to sleep last night, I went to sleep with a smile on my face. I didn't have any action in the night, no runs, no bleeps, no nothing, but I still woke up with that same smile on my face, ready to start the day. And in winter, the best way to start the day is watching the sunrise. Spectacular. One essential that you need when you're out carp fishing or carp angling: a toothbrush, because nobody wants dog breath. It's another beautiful morning on Turners. Really quiet through the night. I had a bleep on the left rod and that was it. But I've got things to talk about still. So let me tell you about the spots I'm fishing. I'm fishing in about 10 or 11 foot on the left and the right rod, and the middle rod is sitting in a hole that's about 14 or 15 foot deep, and that's where I took the carp from yesterday. The left and the middle rod are on a bottom bait, and the right rod is on a 6 foot zig with a yellow bit of foam again. All three rods are fishing at 16.5 wraps, which is about 60 to 65 yards. The shallow water can be where the carp are. It's 13 degrees today, so I'm hoping that I can get another bite, because the carp should be moving around. I've said it before, that winter carp fishing isn't for everybody. Now, I love being out on the bank in winter, and I've told you why. Because the banks are really quiet and the carp can be at the best weights and the most awesome colours. So, try get yourself out now and again. I know it's a bit daunting sitting out in the cold, but it can be a fantastic time of year. Spomming. When do you put the bait out? Well, that is a massive question. That really does depend on how your session's going and if you can read the bite times. Now, bite times in winter can be very random, so I'm only putting a couple of spoms out just for now. How much do I trust truffle? I left that there, that lovely, juicy apple pie, and recast all of the rods, and she's such a good dog because it's still there. I've been recasting the rods now for about 20 minutes, and I guess you've been staring at it for about 20 minutes, haven't you? Oh, you're a good dog. Let's get you a treat. Good paw. Good girl. 13 degrees in the day is great for winter, but as the sun sets, I can already feel the temperature dropping. It's going down to 2 degrees tonight, so it's definitely going to be a cold one. I'm not going to lie, having a bite and landing one carp on this session has actually made the session for me. So, there's only one thing left, say. That brings me to the end of the video. I hope that you've enjoyed it. My name's Lee. You've been watching Committed to Carp, Bedtime Stories, Norton Disney, Turner's Lake. And if you have enjoyed this video, here's your chance to watch another and subscribe to the channel.